So thank you, first of all, for taking the time out of your day. Happy spring equinox to those in the Northern Hemisphere, at least. And let's hope for brighter days on an ongoing basis. So if people could make a comment to let me know that they're there in the chat, that'd be great. So what I wanted to do today was share a book that has been 4 years in the making. We're very excited about it because it's a very different sort of book, and it's something that we've been working on for 4 years, but actually has a longer history than that. And I'm hoping it will help people take their tarot to a totally new level, a totally different way of using it. We've often said that our tarot work is basically a language. It's a language for speaking the Western Esoteric initiatory system. And this book is going to be the first book to come out of our magical order that we've been working in for the last 5 or 6 years. So without further ado, the book is called The Gregorian Angels, the Angels of the Gregorian Calendar. And it is 366 angels revealed by day with tarot correspondences, oracles, affirmations, rituals, sigils, and inspirational personages by Tolly Goodwin, Marcus Katz, and Charlotte Louise, with the members of the Order of Everlasting Day. So this is what we've been working on for 4 years. We did a very intense piece of working for 2 years within the magical order. So there were about 12 or 13 people involved in that. And we worked every single day for 2 years and producing material for this and discussing each of the angels, which we'll come on to exactly what I mean by that, because these are different sorts of angels than you might be used to, which we do explain in the book. And we sort of tweaked it, worked on it, and it's produced a book that is about 200,000 words. So your average book is about 80,000 words, and this one is 200,000 because Tali, Charlotte, and myself in particular, although we have contributions from all of the other members of the order, worked on separate sections of the book for 2 solid years, every single day. In the first year, without missing a single day. And then it's taken another year to write the rest of it, write the introduction, the conclusion, and so forth, and some of the stuff around it. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about what angels are, according to our way of working with them, and what you can get from the book, what you can do with the book, and what's inside it. And particularly how it relates to tarot. And I'd like to do a few examples from people who have sent me their date of birth, for which we only need, these are the 366 calendar days, including the leap year day of the 29th of February. So I just need people's date of birth and month of birth, not their year. This is not to do with the years, as we will take a look at very shortly. And from that, we can derive your angel. We can actually derive your Gregorian angel, the angel of your birthday. You can use it for deriving the angel of your partner's birthday, politicians' birthdays, events that you might want to know what angel looks over that event, and so forth. So I'll come on to all of that in a moment. Now, if I don't get time to go through your particular angel, for those who have very kindly donated to one of the 2 Ukrainian causes, one for people, one for animals, then if I don't get time to do it in the stream, then I'll do it off stream. So you won't miss out, certainly, to get your angel long before anyone else does. Well, hopefully we're going to be publishing it in the next few months. I'm just busy typesetting it at the moment. Charlotte and Tali are busy with the sort of proofreading of it, because it's a massive piece of work. So I'd like to briefly talk, and I've got a few notes here, about the book, where it came from, what the original idea was, and again, what you can do with it. If you have any questions as I go along, please put them in the chat window, wherever it may be, and I'll come on to the donations and the angel of your birthdays when we come towards a close. I expect us to take about 45 minutes, maybe up to an hour, but if you need to drop out at any time, please do go ahead, and hopefully this recording will be available in the group. So let's have a think. So I was surprised, actually. I just looked up when this idea was first sort of thrown across my desk, which was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. In 2020, I think it was. Where did I write that down? Yeah, about 2020, an astrologer friend and I concocted this idea for a big birthday book of angels. And we were going to approach a very particular publisher, a very mainstream publisher, and so we put together a pitch, we put together the ideas for it, we worked on some sample sections of it, and we put it to the publisher via my friend's agent, and they had a meeting, and they got back to us and said, unfortunately, they were only interested in publishing books that would sell 100,000 copies or more because of the size of the book and the work involved in producing it and storing it and shipping it and so forth. And they couldn't really guarantee that this book would sell 100,000 copies, so they weren't interested. That was in 2010. And so we shelved the idea, but it didn't go away for me because there was something in it that was still pulling. And so about 4 years ago, we decided to resurrect the project in a sense and have another go at it. So what we did was produce or derive, I guess the word is, derive an angel for every day of the calendar year. Now, I just wanted to read out something, if I may call on some authority, such as Henry Cornelius Agrippa is an authority on these matters. Certainly for occult philosophy, he might be considered an authority. But in 3 books of occult philosophy that Agrippa wrote and collated, and is like a mainstay of most Western esotericism up until this day. In book 3, which is specifically about magic and sigils and divine names and sort of complex gematria and so forth, he says this in chapter 11 of book 3 of 3 books of occult philosophy, of the divine names and their power and virtue. Agrippa says, God himself, though he be only one in essence, yet hath diverse names, which expound not his diverse essences or deities, but certain properties flowing from him, by which names he doth pour down, as if it were certain conduits, honours and all his creatures, many benefits and diverse gifts. Agrippa is basically saying that the names and the alternate titles of spirits provide a conduit for their essence or presence, their power, to be manifest in the world around us. And more specifically, he goes on to say, and many more names have we placed above in the scale of numbers, and many names of God and the angels are extracted out of the Holy Scriptures by Kabbalistic calculation, Notarian and Gematria arts, where many words retracted by certain of their letters make up one name, or one name dispersed by each of its letters signifieth or rendereth more. And basically what he's saying in that is that you can calculate out magical names through gematria, through the correspondences of the letters to the numbers, particularly the Hebrew letters to the numbers. So originally, when we were looking at the Big Birthday Book of Angels, that's what I'd originally done, and then we extended that in order to do this magical work within the Order of Everlasting Day. And so basically, we end up with a register, as we called it, of angels, one for each day. Now, the calculation of these is, I guess, a proprietary formula within the Order of Everlasting Day. This is basically quite straightforward, and it derives from the month and the day of the calendar year, the Gregorian calendar year. And so, for example, here we have May the 9th, and we have the angel whose name is the Hebrew letters Vav and Teth, VT. And so we have added a sort of appendice to that to make that the angel Vitiel or Vitiel. And because of the correspondences, the Hebrew letters that correspond to the date also correspond to the tarot cards. So Vitiel of May the 9th, the angel Vitiel, corresponds to the Hierophant and Strength. Now, this is the first time, as far as I understand it, that a system like this has been produced since John Dee and Edward Kelly produced the Enochian squares and the names of the Enochian angels back in the sort of just about post-Renaissance period. So each of the days has an angel, and each of the angels has a name. Each of the names is composed of the letters of that presence, and they also correspond to the tarot cards. So if your birthday, for example, is May the 15th, then your angel is Vion, which is the Hierophant, Hermit, and Emperor. And what we've done is given each angel a sort of nomenclature, as we've called it, which basically is a paraphrasing of the tarot cards and the energies and the powers of the Hebrew letters. So, for example, May the 22nd, which is Lovers and Justice, Zalel, is love balancing. So we've called that angel the angel of love balancing, because it's lovers and justice. So that makes sense, doesn't it? Love balancing, Zalel, lovers and justice. So if you were going to do some sort of relationship reconciliation work, you might want to call on Zalel, and particularly if you could time that to May the 22nd, or just call on him or it, them at any particular point if you wanted to. And so there's a whole range of angels, and there are 366. So I'd just like to quickly go through some of the what Tali calls confirmations of the system, of these invisible knots that bind the universe together. So let me just take a look at the comments here. Yep, good there. Thank you. So here's some of the weird examples. So December the 25th, for example, which we all know is Christmas Day, is the devil and temperance, temptation tempering, which does seem very somewhat appropriate for Christmas Day, and the devil and temperance, which is basically the devil and the angel, if you think about it that way. October the 31st, which we know is Samhain or Halloween, is literally death and the Last Judgment. So when people are dressed up as spirits and ghouls and ghosts and goblins and wandering the streets because the dead are walking the earth, it is literally only through correspondence, only through the number of the month, the number of the date, and the corresponding Hebrew letters, and then the corresponding tarot cards to that, we have the angel of otherworld calling, and that falls on October the 31st. Now, there should be no reason at all that the 11th month, the 31st day of that, corresponding via gematria to Hebrew letters that then are corresponded through Kabbalah to the tarot cards should come up with Death and the Last Judgment for Halloween out of all of the possible combinations of cards. And in fact, there's only one card out of the major arcana that doesn't show up because of the way the numerology works. And I'll come on to that when we conclude this session, because I didn't realize that until literally a couple of weeks ago. I'll put the title of the book is called Gregorian Angels. Oops. Let me just write that down for somebody there in the group. And there'll be a web page in the next few days as we come to typeset it and sell it. So January the 1st, the angel of January the 1st is the Devil and the Fool, which is quite nice. And that is passion embarking, passion for the devil, embarking, fool's journey. So January the 1st is literally the devil and the fool go off on their journey. Now, some other weird things that come out of the numerology and really confirm the whole presence of these angels is there are 2 days in the entire calendar that share the same combination just through virtue of the numerology. And those are September the 22nd and October the 22nd. Both of them have justice and justice, Lamed and Lamed, truth telling for their angel. And we felt that that was really significant because in effect, it's the Golden Dawn concept of the Hall of Double Truth. There's a truth for mortals and there's a divine truth that's sort of balances that off, and that's justice and justice, literally the Hall of Double Truth. And then a few other things that are of interest before we go on into a bit more detail about what we've given you for each angel is the angels, because of the numerology, because of the tarot cards, which are all major arcana, fall into 12 big realms. So there are 12 hierarchies of these angels through the year. 24 if we sort of subdivide them a little bit within each category. So we start off with the angels of shadow. We then move into the angels of darkness. And we have the angels of vision for about 15 to 20 days. And then the angels of truth, and it goes through 12 realms all the way to the angels of death towards the end of the year, and then the angels of alchemy, which then set the whole sequence going again. And so because they follow a Kabbalistic, numerological and tarot system, every little bit of structure is built into them. And it's quite bizarre, quite magical how it works. And it's something that we've experienced as an esoteric group for the last 2 years. And as Vic is saying, yes, really happy to share this because we've been sat on it for 4 years and we have been working on it every single day. Every single day, our group got together on Facebook and we shared the angel of the day. Tali, Charlotte and I all wrote pieces for that angel, and then we contemplated the angel during the day, contemplated its lessons, which I'll come on to in a moment, because we've provided all of this for readers of the book to experience. And then we all went through an awful lot of change, trying to hold the angels, manifest the angels in our own life and live up to them. And importantly, and another one of the weird patterns, is the angels of the equinox and the solstice, which there are 4 during the year, of course. So we have the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the autumn equinox, and the winter solstice. All 4 of those angels on those days are a combination of Hermit in the wheel, Temperance in the wheel, Emperor in the wheel, and Lovers in the wheel. So the 4 angels literally on those 4 dates actually have the wheel as one of their 2 cards, which is no coincidence, but it's a weird synchronicity, because there should be no reason why they have the tarot card of the wheel, because it's based on numerology, it's based on the Gregorian calendar. But most importantly, and I think this is the main message I'd want to provide you for this book, is the angels arise in the same relationship that our brains have with the rest of reality. So this reality is not as is, it's how we present it to ourselves through virtue of our sensory organs, by virtue of our psyche, and by virtue of our illusionary separation that we have from the universe around us. As a result, it has a particular structure, it has a particular pattern. And this is what esoteric thinking is all about. It's experiencing and living that pattern, because we can't live in the reality. We can't live in this reality knowing it's illusory, but we can live in the relationship of the 2 things. And this is where the angels dwell as well. They arise in the same interface that we have with the universe. So the fact that they are made up is as much a point as everything else is made up. Mathematics, science. Now, I wouldn't want to try and fix a car by invoking an angel. I'd far more prefer to invoke my local garage mechanic, but they are of the same relationship in terms of how they adhere to the patterns of the universe. I know that I can phone my garage mechanic by typing in mystical numbers into a phone, and then that will get my car fixed, hopefully. Whereas similarly with the angels, I know that there are certain names and powers that relate to the days of the week that will relate to that angel. So yeah, I think this video will actually stay within the group, so you will be able to replay it afterwards. So again, these 4 great angels we call the angels of the cross, the wheel angels of the great cross of the year, and each of those, autumn is the hermit in the wheel, which makes sense as we go into retirement. Winter is temperance, when we need to temper ourselves. Hakid is the emperor, spring equinox, so that's the emperor in the wheel. So and the emperor literally relates to Aries, i.e. the spring equinox. And summer is Zachiel, the lovers in the wheel, so that's the sort of bountiful relationship building, happy summer that we want to enjoy. And so those 4 great angels also have challenges for us at the 4 quarters of the year. So we have this massive registry of angels. We have seen that there are weird patterns in them. Strangely enough, the angel of February the 29th is called Quig, and it's the weirdest angel ever because it is the moon and moon. So it corresponds to a double moon. So it's like the moon reflects the moon, reflects the moon. And so, strangely enough, the day of the leap year, which only happens every 4 years, of course, is a correspondingly weird angel. Again, through the system itself, not through anything else. So what we've done for every single angel, all 366 of them, is we have written up over the year and over the 2 years that it's taken us to do all of these, a number of sections for each angel. There are a lot of important sections, but they provide a whole range of working with them. The thing we want to do with this book is to give people the opportunity to experience for themselves this esoteric, spiritual use of tarot, a magical use of tarot in their daily life, to really bring and manifest these usually obscure esoteric things into your everyday life so that you can actually experience it for yourself in a sort of, I was going to say safe, controlled way. It isn't either of those two things, but at least it's a structured way, and that's what's important. It is a structured way. A few sets of these angels are very, very difficult to go through. I think for me, and perhaps for a couple of others, it was the moon angels. Oh, I hated the moon angels. I hated them so much. Trying to live up to those each day for 20 days or however long that was, it felt like a lifetime. It was really challenging. And so, you know, there is a lot of self-change work that you can do. And the Sihag's saying, so we can work with each angel daily, with astrology, tarot correspondences, and a few other things that I'm going to provide as well. And that, I'm going to share with you now that we have provided in the book. So, for example, May the 6th, which I've just chosen at random, is the day of Vivial, revelation revealing, and it's a double card, so the same card is twice. And for May the 6th, it is the Hierophant and the Hierophant. So it's a double Hierophant, so that's two vows, vow, and we've added the Terminator Al onto that, which is traditional with angel names. It's either Ion, Ial, El, Al, and again, we've explained all of that in the book. So this one was Vivial, and we've given the nature of the presence, because not all of these take human form. When they do, we've used the Golden Dawn methodology of describing, what was the word they used for them, a sort of built up angels. When they created an angel name, they also had a way of describing the color of their hair, their shape, whether they were thin or strong and imposing, male, female, and so forth. So we've used that system as well in order to describe the angels that we have derived from each day of the year. So some of them are like that, some of them are far more abstract and appear in a totally different way. We then given the qualities, just a brief section, just a few lines to get people thinking of the qualities of a person born on that day. And so you can look up, if you're born on May the 6th, it says, those born on this day may often get themselves caught in a self-reflective and endless consideration of the big questions of life. That's because we've got these two hierophants facing each other. They may close down and keep themselves to themselves, as if they cannot make any decision until everything is answered. This is the problem of the two hierophants sort of collapsing in on themselves. It's also a nod to the Hebrew letter vow, which is a nail that relates to that card. So we've used all of the correspondences at our disposal to actually show how these cards and letters and presences might manifest in someone born on this day. They do well to find a middle line where they can both act and contemplate other alternatives at the same time. And so it could be that someone born on this day needs as their lifetime work to work with their double hierophant nature. And if you're partnered with somebody who was born on this day, then maybe it gives you another way of exploring what their personality is like and what their patterns are like. So we've given the nature of the presence, the birthday qualities, and then for every single day of the year, we've given a personage. Tali chose a person or an event who was born on that day or happened on that day in history, and that relates directly to the tarot cards of that day. So strangely enough, on this day was born Sigmund Freud. So we've used Sigmund Freud to explore the nature of this hierophant, gosh, that sort of authority and daddy issues right there and then, isn't it? Two sort of hierophants locked in on each other. And quite often Ton is provided quotes by that person, if it's a person, or a quote about that event that directly relate to the tarot cards. And it's bonkers just how each personage for each day of the entire year fits the appropriate tarot cards. And as we conclude in a bit, I'll share an incredible confirmation that came up as we were just finishing the book to really put the seal of the angels onto the book itself. Now, we've also got affirmations, and these have been written to chain together to some extent so that you can invoke the angel of the day by actually affirming the affirmation of that day. So, for example, May the 6th is to affirm this presence, state, all is as it is. This is that hierophant pattern going on. So, all is as all is. And again, we've structured these, we've tweaked them, we've practiced them, we've tested them with the whole order of sort of 12 or 13 people in total over the last couple of years, really getting the ones that change the way you look at life. I kid you not, going through a whole year of the angels, which you don't have to do, but you can do, as something we call the Opus Gregorius, the work of Gregory, is quite a thing. You can also choose a realm to work with if you want to explore the dream angels. Then you can spend just 3 weeks just exploring that realm, doing the affirmations each day, doing the correspondences, various other practices that we've given in the book for each day itself. Then we've also got welcoming the presence. To welcome the presence in your life, observe any mirrors today or reflections of truth, representations, symbols that are not the thing itself. Notice how a road sign does not accurately reflect the exact road ahead. As you conduct this attention, bring this consideration to others and then yourself, whilst repeating the affirmation. So each day has got a practice that we've derived and that we actually tested out over a couple of years to really indwell that presence, to really feel that presence in your life. And it's something that, again, is quite important to us, that these are brought to real life. Also, it does mean that you're taking these very major arcana, in this case the Hierophant and the Hierophant, and you're really living them. You're living a combination of archetypes in your everyday life at a very everyday level. So you're just looking at road signs, but you're then elevating it, transcending it to a higher pattern. So you're really connecting the sublime substrate of reality to our everyday experience. And this really changes the way you read tarot cards as well, particularly the major arcana. And this work will have you again reevaluating just how you look at them, how you feel, how you experience them, how you sense them as a pattern, as an archetypal thing that can manifest as a presence, an angel, as a personage, as an event, as someone's birthday qualities, as an affirmation. And it abstracts the tarot card into something that can be all of those things, but has its own strange attractor, its own quality that always remains esoteric, occult. We never know what the Hierophant is, we just know how it acts in our life through relationship. And this is sort of path working in real life. This is experiencing the Sephiroth on the tree of life, interacting through the paths by sitting yourself on the path and looking and feeling the energy go through the card itself and go through your life through the affirmations, the personages, welcoming the presence, and so forth. And then Charlotte did a section on blocking the presence from a sort of psychoanalytical point of view, how we might block a particular presence, and how we can see it being blocked. And this is quite useful for when you want to undo a block. You can find the angel that corresponds to the block and then use that angel to retro-engineer it, to actually see what the block is telling you, where that energy should be, and then work from there. We also have an oracle of the angel, which is the thing we sort of added last. For example, the oracle of Vivial is a day of many revelations and insights, a good time for voicing your belief. Practice what you preach today. So practice what you preach is that double hierophant again. So again, you can use the whole book as an oracle in itself. You can just use bibliomancy, or we might produce some cards for it, where you'll actually be able to select the angel, and that will give you an oracle for the day or for your question as well. So and that releases it out of the calendar and into an oracular system in itself. So those are the sections we've got. We've got the cards for the angel, the nature of the angel, a description of its presence, whether it's a sort of human-like presence or something more abstract. We've got the qualities that we can assign someone born on that day. We've got an on that day and a personage or event that particularly occurred on that day that embodies that energy. We've got an affirmation. We've got how you welcome the angel in terms of your practice during the day, or if you're just working to invoke a particular angel or combination of cards. We've got how that angel is blocked. We've got an oracle. And then finally, we also have a sigil for each angel. As we went through, Charlotte produced a sigil with the appropriate color coding and color correspondences for every single angel. And we have to be careful how we use these because they're sort of powers in themselves. This, for example, is depth moving, a Quition, the angel of the moon, and chariot for the 8th of March. And you can see how we've got the depth almost down here in the blue, and then the chariot wheels sort of moving from the depth itself. And it's quite interesting and again surreally odd just how the sigils related to the abstract descriptions and the tarot cards of each angel, and how powerful the sigils are. If you just contemplate one particular sigil for any length of time, following the colors with your eyes around it is something else. Probably in the book, these will be given in black and white, and we'll probably produce a color pamphlet as a separate thing with all of the sigils, so a book of sigils separate. This one is another favorite. I just chose these at random. They're all they're all significant. This is Power Blossoming, 21st of March. That's tomorrow. This is Hakid, the Emperor, and the Wheel of Fortune. So we have this sort of almost blossoming of power, sort of almost like a flower in a vase, if you might say that. For Hakid, that is the sigil of power blossoming. And you can see how different that is to depth moving. And so you learn a sort of appreciation of looking at the sigils as powers in themselves. And then here we have the 26th of March. I just, again, pulled most of these out of around now for March. And this is Haid, the Emperor and the Devil, the angel Haid. And this is the Emperor and the Devil, Shadow Championing. So you can see how there's a sort of championing forth, this sort of direct arrow going forward, being championed, but it's like the shadow is in the background. So this is like the devil and the emperor, sort of, the emperor's all front and force going forwards, and the devil is like the shadow in the background, empowering it and being a force of its creativity. So every single angel also has a sigil, and you can see now perhaps why it's taken us so long to produce and really test this book. We provided a big introduction describing how this relates to the general concept of angels. We've got a load of books that I'm thankfully putting away just now, having done the bibliography for the angelology research that we've been doing for the book over the last 2 years. And it's also possible to use a book for dream work, numerology, and we've also provided a template ritual at the back of the book that you can plug any angel into with the tarot cards and do a safe magical working to invoke that angel for its particular power and presence in your life to bring about change in conformity with your will. And also a couple of the rituals for the new year and the spring equinox, I think, or something else. We've got a couple of other rituals in there as well. Okay, so that's a overview of the book. As I say, it's going to be called the Gregorian Angels, 366 angels revealed by day, with tarot correspondences, oracles, affirmations, rituals, sigils, and inspirational personages. Hopefully now that subtitle actually makes sense with how I've discussed the book itself. Okay, so that was that. I just wanted to give an example of something that happened towards the end of the book. As we went through the first year and to some extent the second year, when we were working on something slightly different to add to the book, mainly I think the affirmations, during the first year, Tali had been picking personages and events for that particular day. And we made notes in red. Different people were writing it at different times as well. And that's another weird thing. Sometimes Tali was writing something, Charlotte was writing something, I was writing something, the members of the order were doing something on Facebook, entirely independently of each other, on a particular angel or a set of angels, and then we'd pull those pieces of text together, and in the finished book it looks like they've all been written by one person at the same time in collaboration. And I can assure you that the book is built out of the correspondences and the understanding of the correspondences of the members of the order. So the fact that Charlotte's block or sigil or Talia's personage or my description of the angel or a member of the order's description of something weird that happened during their day, they all fasten together. They just lock together because they're based on correspondences, which is that's a big teaching of Western esotericism and our particular order. So we made notes as we went along quite often, and I had this big thing like, if I've got to edit this in a few years' time, we'll never remember everything that is dead important today or this minute or this hour. So put a note in red, and then as I collate the whole shebang together, I'll be able to see loads of notes in yellow or red or highlighted or in italics or something. And then I can, remember them, and we can, tidy it up towards the end when we come to produce it as a book. And for some of those, it was, there were a lot of such notes for all sorts of things like, it might have said in red, see A.E. Waite. And that was it. And it was like, oh yeah, there was something about A.E. Waite. He wrote something in pictorial key about that was useful, that was interesting at the time. And so we then had to put in a proper footnote for it and a quote and so forth. So there were hundreds of those, literally a couple of hundred of them. And one of them was for December the 24th. I think someone had written, are we sure about this personage? And December the 24th is Christmas Eve, and it is represented by the devil and death. So Christmas Eve, you know, this sort of festive period, is the devil and death. And the personage that we had for that, or the event, was just a bit sort of lukewarm. It didn't seem right, even to Tali, who was selecting them. And so we had a note there to say, you know, check this personage. You know, and we had that against several others as well. But more recently, when we came to putting the book together, and I came across that note, I said to Tali, well, you know, can we come up with another personage? Can you have another look? Because we made a note on that day for December the 24th. And now December the 24th, as I mentioned, was the devil and death. Arniel, which is Ayin and Nun, Aleph and Lamed, the devil and death. And the title, the nomenclature for that angel in the register, so in our register, I'll find the register. So in the register that we've been using for 4 years at this point, 4 years, and 2 years of creating it from a 10-year-old long project that had been forgotten about and then resurrected, and then 2 years working in the order on it every day. In the register, that angel for December the 24th, for the devil and death, had always been called energy transforming, energy transforming. So the devil, because in the Golden Dawn, the devil and death are seen as these two centripetal forces in the universe. They sort of merge together. The devil is creation and the death is destruction, but they're bound together. The Golden Dawn really talk about them as a pair. And so, and again, this is why the person seemed a bit weak for it, for energy transforming. Okay, so energy, the devil, death transforming. 4 years in the register, it had been energy transforming. So apparently when Tali went to go and look for a new personage for December the 24th, she hadn't seen this the first time round or the second time round, but it turns out that someone called J.P. Jewell was born on December the 24th. And apparently Tali opened the Wikipedia page, her go-to reference source for these things, for December the 24th for J.P. Jewell, or Jewell. And 4 lines down on J.P. Jewell, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, or I'll just say Jewell, because it's a measurement of energy. It says this, quote, his experiments about energy transformations were first published in 1843. His experiments about energy transformations were first published in 1843. So why the hell is there a correspondence between 1224, Ayin and Nun, the devil and death, energy transforming, and someone born on that day who's mainly known for his experiments on energy transformations? And that tied up the book in a knot, a perfect invisible knot that binds the whole universe together. And hopefully what we can do with the book is provide people their own way of actually experiencing these strange synchronicities, these knots, these invisible knots that bind the universe together. Okay, so that's the book. First of all, are there any questions? We're presently typesetting it and doing proofreading of it. I'm hoping to produce it on Kindle with a indexing system so that you can rapidly look at a particular day or bookmark it as you work through it. And there's a paperback within the next month. It's in final proofreading, final typesetting as we speak. I've just put it into a paperback template, and it's about 400 pages of 10-pitch font of a standard 6x9 trade paperback. I might make it a little bit bigger so the book will be a bit thinner. Otherwise, it's going to be quite a thick, hefty paperback, but I'm not quite sure about that at the moment. So first of all, any questions in the chat, and I'm going to risk switching to another page. I tried to get the laptop up so I could search manually for your angel of the day of your birthday over on the laptop and report it to the screen here. But I'm going to have to see if I can do it on the screen on the computer because my laptop's not updated. So it's busy updating itself as we speak. So I've got a few days that people have provided me by private message. Thank you very much. If I don't cover yours, then don't fret. I will send it to you directly over the next day or so. So Vicky, let me just make a note of that. Thank you, 328. And I've asked people, so that's 28th of March, yes? Your birthday soon, Vicky. I've asked people to make a contribution to a couple of Ukrainian-related appeals. One is the DEC, the other is an animal rescue one as well. So let me just make a note of these. So Denny, 19th of June, yep, that must be. Nan, I've got 28th of May, Sissy, 29, is that 2nd of September? Can you put them as month and day for me, because of the American UK thing, I don't want to get them confused. So Scylla is 30 April, Jason Black is 13th of Feb, Don is 2nd of Feb. I'm guessing, is that 2nd of Feb? Right, so Sissy is Feb the 9th. I mean, I can actually come back to this as well from the video. So just while people put those up, thanks Don, so that's Feb the 9th, so 9th of Feb. Just wanted to get you your particular angel and a description of who you might be. So what we're going to do is put a web page up for the book itself on the Tarot Association or the Order of Everlasting Days site. That will link to our main Tarot Professionals newsletter, and that's where we'll be announcing the ordering for it. I say the Kindle book should come out quite soon because obviously there's less formatting requirements, and then within a few weeks, depending on how long it takes for a proof copy of the printed book to get to me, so I can physically look at it, check it, make any amendments, and then put those amendments back up to Amazon. That will be back up. That will probably take about 4 to 5 weeks, something like that from now. But we'll obviously keep everyone in touch along those lines. So I think because there was a slight delay to the video and we've run to time almost, we're about at the hour. What I'll do is I'll privately default to just 5 paragraphs. I think so, but I'll double check, Jason. What I'll do is I'll send by message, and I'll put a note up in the TP group that your message has been sent to you in case it goes into message requests on your Facebook. I'll send a little section for your particular angel, and I'll do that tomorrow if I may. Okay, so unless there are any particular questions, say we've been working on this for, it feels so good to have it out there now. We've been working on this for 4 years, 2 years within the order. If you're interested in this sort of work with us, then it's sort of outside or parallel to TP, to the Tarot Association, and you can find the information on the everlastingday.com. Let me have a look, everlastingday.com. That gives you the information about our private order and something called the Crucible Club, which is a one-year study for application to the order itself, if you're interested in this sort of slightly more focused and concentrated work within Western esotericism. Okay, everyone, if there are any questions, put them in the group, because I'll come back to those in the next half an hour or so. And thank you so much for your time and your attention. It's really appreciated. We do a fair amount of work in order to get these experiences in an accessible way, so that you can actually engage with them and actually see for yourself and experience for yourself these particular esoteric pieces of work. So it's just great to have your support for that and your engagement for it. By our work we are changed, and indeed it is always the case, the worker is hidden in the workshop. Bye for now.